सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। प्रातः स्मरामि हृदि संस्फुरदात्मतत्त्वम् सच्चित् सुखं परमहं सगतिं तुरीयम् यत् स्वप्नजागर सुषुप्तमवेति नित्यम् तद्ब्रह्म निष्कलमहं न च भूतसङ्गः तपोभिक्षीणपापानां शान्तानां वीतरागिनां मुमुक्षोऽहमपेक्षोऽयम् आत्मबोधो विधीयते। So today's topic is road to evolution. Actually, there cannot be any road towards evolution because you are what you are. But the topic name is given because quite a lot of people get entangled and enmeshed in these jargons of spiritual practices. So some people talk that this is what things are. Some people talk this is what you are supposed to do, spirituality. Some people say this is the way you should do your karma. Some people say this is the way you should do your bhakti. A lot of people say this is the food you have to eat to become spiritual. This is the food you have to avoid to. So there are a lot of confusions everywhere, ad galar, of how to go about it. Is there any one way? So this chart, which is given to you, where the whole diagram is mentioned, is a sure shot method to reach the highest state of self-realization given in the Shastras. So from now on, we are going to focus on the spiritual growth from karma, bhakti, jnana, uparati, everything. We'll be explaining the whole thing. And after that, we'll be stopping these classes as far as general topics are concerned. Then we'll see how to go about it. So I used to take this children's class. There were around 10 to 15 children, 12 to 15 children. They were around 6 years old. And from 6 years at that age, I was teaching them Vedanta. And by the time they were 13, I inaugurated Bhagavad Gita to them. I started teaching them Bhagavad Gita in essence, in depth of how it's supposed to be understood. And then I mentioned it saying that from here on, your classes start, your true studies start. So one of the child was very intelligent. He said that, so what were we doing for 7 years? So I explained to them, 7 years we were preparing. We were preparing 7 years of basic concepts so that you can understand now. Similarly, all the general talks, whatever we have done till now during this COVID times, it is all a preparation towards this summation. This chart depicts how you go about it. So if you have not completed this, spiritual evolution remains stagnant. In fact, it will not be there. So the focus now is, I understand that you would have got up in the morning, 5 o'clock, you would have studied religiously, every day you are going through the lectures, every doubt is cleared. I understand, all my students are great. So all the 300 students, whoever are attending, They have done their job so beautifully, studied so regularly, doing all the homework of not to keep, imagine your hands tied for half an hour or 3 hours. Imagine not to complain anything for 3 days and watching the Chaplin comedies or whatever homework I have given, you have done implicitly. So I have to believe, otherwise my faith will go down. Okay. So I am imagining that you did all this. Now this is the summation to reach. So from here on, we are going to explain how to get towards the stages of evolution. First step, each and every one of us is extroverted by nature, since the world and the educational system and the parents and the uncles and aunties and all sorts of people around us teach us only to value the standard of living and not the standard of life. They teach you that all the sense objects around us, all the relationships around us, whatever is happening around us is truth, truth, and nothing but the truth. Believing in this, therefore, anything happens in the external world affects me. So how to reverse that affectation and move towards a different plane of sight? Lots of qualities, we have discussed this many times. I will just put it in a nutshell. All you have to do is build one quality, and that is satsanga. Satsangatve nissangatvam, this says Bhajagovindam, nissangatve nirmohatvam, nirmohatve nischalatatvam, nischalatatve jivan mukti. Build satsang. Satsanga means keep the company of truth. So when we use the term keep the company of truth, people misunderstand and start saying you should be honest with everybody around. In the world, you have to be honest. You have to be honest as much as possible, but that is not the meaning of Satyam. Honesty is not intelligent everywhere. I had a friend, he got married. During the marriage night, the lady of the person, the wife, she said that, listen, we should build a relationship on transparency. So we should just tell who all I had an affair in the past, and we should be open about it so that there are no complications, because we should be transparent, said the lady. The husband said, of course, we should be. I'll also write who all I had an affair and you also tell me. The lady gave 2-3 names about whom she thought she had an affair. The boy presented a list of around 10 to 20 names and said, these are the people. And seeing that, after that, the whole marriage is a disaster. Because whenever he says, whenever I enter into the house, I don't enter into a house, it looks like a confession room for me in a church, because I have to say everything and keep on repeating, I didn't do this, I didn't do this, I didn't do this. And she keeps on saying, you did it, you did it, you did it. This is whole the marriage. Truth means something very, very different. Keeping the company of truth. What is Satyam? We have all committed suicide. Atma Hatya. Atma is that supreme self. We have murdered that. And we have replaced that murdered identity with a false identity of the body, mind, and intellect. So when the word in the Shastras come Atma Hatya or Atma Hantaha, it means I have already killed myself. So how to regain that self is the idea. Satsanga, that Sat, that truth, which is permanent, which is always there. The I factor within me, which becomes the claimant and says, I am doing this, I am doing that, this is mine, this is mine. Objects, when I look at, I say, this is my TV, my fridge, my car, my house. Relationships, when I look at, this is my son, my daughter, my husband, my wife. Everything is I, mine, mine, mine. Who is this I? That is the truth. So slowly, systematically, From extroversion, we have to come to an understanding of basically what is the purpose of my life. That's all. Once you understand the purpose of your life, all the extroversion with its temporary facets of affectation and attachment disappears before you. How to go about it? Don't study too much. I must be the only teacher in the world to tell you that. Don't study too much. Study a little. Don't get involved into the complexities of the jargons of scriptures. What is this? What is Prakriti? What is Purusha? What is this? Don't get into that. Keep it simple. Spirituality is very simple if you know how to go about it. How to study? Bhagavad Gita kinchita dhita Ganga jala lavakanika pita sakridapiyena murari samarcha kriyate tasya yamena na charcha. Bhajagovindam by Adi Shankaracharya. Study Bhagavad Gita. But sir, I am not a Hindu. Then study the Bible. Then you study the Quran. Then you study the Guru Granth Sahib. Bhagavad Gita. Gita means song. Bhagavat means Lord, God. So the song given by the Lord is Bhagavad Gita. That means any Lord, as far as it helps you. Bhagavad Gita, study the Bhagavad Gita. Kinchita adhita. Kinchita, a little bit. Adhita. No, adhita doesn't mean study. Adhita means get it in you. Study a little, implement in life and get it in your system. This is the way it is. This is what is attachment. I am attached. Okay, if I am attached, I am suffering. So how do I get out of attachment? Get that information and transform yourself. Kinchita adhita, get it within you. Ganga jala lava kanika pita. Have passion in your life. Whenever you are acting, we'll be traveling, we'll doing this in the Karma Yoga. Whenever you are doing something, do it with full passion, otherwise don't do it. Whenever you are dancing, dance with fun, grace, or don't. Nothing in life, no relationship in life, no methodology in life, no sense object or context in life should force you, compel you to do something which you are not comfortable in. So you should have a passion to wash. If you want to wash your house, wash, do it, but do it gracefully. You should have fun with every moment of life. That kind of passion. Ganga Jala, lava, one iota, lava kanika means one drop ka 100th part of one drop is called lava. That much passion in every activity. That's enough. Then what do you do? Sakritapiyena Murari Samarcha. Listen to the life of the Murari, Krishna, or any of these great masters. Learn from them how they have lived their life, how they have inspired themselves by listening to the great masters, by studying the great masters' textbooks, and that attitude of theirs saying that I want to become like that. I am not going to compromise on anything lesser than that. Ganga jala lavakanika pita sakridapiyena murari kriyate tasya yamena na charcha. If you do this accordingly, action functioning in the world, mind completely peaceful, full of enthusiasm and cheer, and intellect knowing what is the truth and not compromising on anything else. Kriyate tasya yamena na charcha. He or she will never be fighting, charcha, discussion with Lord Yama. So when Yama comes, the discussion will never be, why don't you take me after 2 days? I got a lot of work to do, lot of things to be done. No, you are ready at every given point of time. Like in that movie, I say, please watch this movie, Terry Fox. In that Terry Fox, that boy is taking a run throughout Canada with a single aim of giving the money in donation to these children who are suffering from cancer. And while he is running, he is sick. and his friend says, listen, you are sick. Why don't you go to a doctor? He just makes this one statement. You know what, Doug? If I die now, I die happy. How many of us can say that? If I die now, I die happy. This kind, you will not have a fight with anything that happens around. If you're not well, so what? If you're well, do the job. That's it. What happened to you? You move around with, and you move around it. So find a solution and get out. This is how you turn introvert systematically. Now, as you see the diagram, we are blessed by these three superb equipments: body, mind, and intellect. With the physical body, how to evolve? Do karma yoga. In the Isavasya Upanishad, that master is sitting on top of the mountain. Nobody there. He is not even looking at the student who is sitting down. He is looking at those mountains, the ethereal air he is breathing, and he is commenting, Isavasya midago sarvam yat kinchit jagatya jagat. Everything is nothing but the great Lord. Jagatya jagat. Whatever I see inside and outside is the great Lord. Tena tyaktena bundita mahakrida kasya siddharam. Just give up everything. Why should you aspire for others' wealth? And he is reveling in that. Then he looks at the student is down. He is looking up because student did not understand what the teacher is saying. So the teacher says, Purvanne vehakar. If you have not understood this, just do karma. What kind of karma? Which karma? Which profession should I do? Should I do this profession or that profession? I'm not comfortable in this. Should I do comfortable, which is that? But I'm not getting much money there. I'm not getting respect here. All these quotations are not there in Isavasya Upanishad. Just do karma. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna had to write 43 verses or 48 verses of Karma Yoga, chapter 3, to explain what is karma. So in a nutshell, we will be completing that in a nutshell. Karma, 3 steps. Karma by the physical body, bhakti by the mind, and jnana by the intellect. Karma is different from karma yoga. Any karma you do to sustain yourself, to sustain your near and dear ones, me and mine only, you are working to feed your stomach and the people who are around you in the so-called name of your family. Then it is just karma. Karma yoga is any activity which you do to improve yourself and make yourself into a better human being. Whenever you are doing karma with a higher goal, a higher purpose in life, and what is the highest purpose? Self-realization. To make your every activity perfect. That's all. That activity which you are doing to reach the state of perfection, same activity, you don't need to leave any field of activity. This, any stage of activity, whatever your field of activity, is called karma yoga. Yoga means union with the self. So when I use my physical body to reach the supreme reality, it is called karma yoga, physical action. What kind of an action I'm supposed to do? When you are doing actions only for supporting me and mine, each and every statement, it is, this is what I have, this is mine, everything is that, then you are basically, we are a selfish person. A selfish person who thinks only from the paraphernalia of me and mine is the most agitated person in the world. Constantly. So spirituality says, as soon as you understand you are extroverted, you are only thinking about me and mine, and you become selfish, you move to the next step. You start becoming unselfish. This is like a bicycle pedal. If I become unselfish, I am started thinking about others. how blessed I am. The other people are there, they don't even have this facility what I'm having. We are sitting in our house, at least we have a roof over our head, we have bread a little bit in our refrigerator, and we have some money on the dining table. It's enough. Just that much understanding is enough. There are other people who are suffering. Now the problem is, if you get into that and really start thinking that I am doing it for others, then you will and you can develop arrogance. So be careful. This thought is there only so that you don't get agitated with your state of mental affairs. When you know there are other people who are suffering, you focus on doing what is the right thing to be done. Slowly you become unselfish. Now, when you are looking out for somebody else, you're looking for others, there are no more desires in you saying, this is what I want in life. The I want disappears slowly. This needs to be done, that supersedes, that comes up, and the I factor goes down. This is, so a person who is unselfish by nature is much happier than a selfish person. They also want everything, but they get it automatically more easier than a selfish person. This is karma yoga. The highest is you are doing every job to perfection because you are morally responsible for every activity. When a servant is doing a job in your house, she leaves some spaces behind, not dusting properly, because it is not her house. She will cook anything in your house, but when she goes to her house, the cooking is entirely different. Because it is not her house. It is somebody else's house. When you are doing the activity in your house, you are morally responsible to do it better. Therefore, you do the best job when you are doing anything for your own self. Similarly, the highest point, the selfless activities, are those activities where the focus is no more on what will I get. The focus is how can I contribute. Like a teacher always says, après vous, after you. Just a simple way of saying after you. When you are giving food, after you. When you are giving tea, after anything, first serve. Become a person accustomed to serving, but don't become a servant. When you become a servant, then you will be taken for granted. But serve, there's nothing wrong in serving. This is Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is an activity you take, your whole focus will be only on service and sacrifice. You serve because you enjoy serving. When I serve, my pain decreases. Homework. Please go through this homework. Go to Wikipedia or Google and look for Sindhutai Sapkal. Look for that name. Read her story. Brilliant. She has 3 children. She was married when she was 14. By the time she was called Chindi. If you see, you'll come to know the story. In childhood, when she was born, she was called Chindi by the parents. Chindi means rag clothes. That was her value in the house. By 14, the parents got her dismissed by getting her married. By 20, she already bore 3 children. And when she was pregnant by 8 months or something, the husband threw her out of the house. She had to beg on the streets. And while begging on the streets, she started thinking about a lot of orphan children who are also begging. So her story is, she started begging more harder, more fiercer. She wanted more money by begging so that she can sustain these children. And fondly, she is called Tai. She's still there in Maharashtra. She's called Tai, and she's got 1,300 or 400 children under her, orphans. This is not the shocking part. The shocking part was, so that she should not be partial with the orphaned children, she gave up her own biological child away to an anath ashram. She just gave up her own biological child to an orphanage so that other children should not feel that she is partial to her child. If this is not karma yoga, I don't know what karma yoga is. An activity where you say, I have lived. Just the satisfaction of trying to contribute something, even though however measly it is. Service. You serve with all your pores of your body. Each and every time you should think of, how can I be of some service? When somebody is asking help, rather than saying, no, what I'm saying, just say yes. There was this boy in our academy. Whenever we used to ask him, can you do? First thing he'll say is yes. Yes. I didn't want to give his name. Reed, sorry. He said, Reed, can you help me? Yes. He will not even ask why, what for. And then he say, now you tell me what it is. Answer is yes. Ho gaya. What an attitude. When you say yes to life, when you say yes to everything, prosperity says yes to you. Respect says yes to you. Relationships say yes to you. Life in all its glory and happiness says yes to you. So first attitude, serve. That attitude should be there to serve. What can I do? Every time, jump first. Whatever activity need to be done, don't ask, start doing it. The biggest of the masters, the greatest of the masters, you want to learn from them, see how they are doing the small activities so beautifully. Simply. In the rains, I was jogging in the academy. I was alone jogging and I saw our teacher also jogging there, raincoat. He did not see me. He was ahead. I was behind. And as I was jogging, I saw him bend down. There was a lump of grass and mud on the jogging track. He bent down, removed that and put it in the ground, filled it nice again in the rains, and then he washed his hands and walked off. You learn 1,000 things from each and every act of a master. Don't learn the granthas. Don't learn the textbooks. Then it will only be information. Look at how the masters treated great people. Tapovan Maharaj was giving a great lecture to all the rishis in the Himalayas. And while giving the lecture of the highest Upanishads of Brahmanand, he was talking about Brahma. The whole Upanishads he was talking, suddenly an old lady came getting some sweets. Immediately Tapovan Maharaj went down there and he started talking to the lady. How are you? How are you doing? How are the children? Are they all right? Acha, this is a mitai. What is this? And the rishis who were there, they were astounded by this man talking about the highest philosophy, saying that the world is an illusion and the world does not exist. He comes down in an instant to a person who has no idea and treats everything as real. How is this person communicating to both levels at the same time? That's the beauty of the knowledge. Learn. So you serve. When you start serving, your ahamkar comes in between. You know what all I am doing? I have started a Rotary Club. I have started this service center. There I am helping either. I am going there. I am teaching. I still is there. Until the I is there, there is no spiritual evolution at all. So next step, when they say by karma, you have to do service and sacrifice, you have to sacrifice your own ego, your own arrogance, your own recognition, that you are doing something. So as soon as somebody says you are doing great, you have to tell in your mind, what nonsense are you doing? Giants have gone before us. Mahatma Gandhi has gone before us. Vivekananda has gone. With comparison to these great giants, Mother Teresa and all have gone before us. What are we doing? What are we trying to achieve? We just brush that thing off. You cannot do anything. You are not doing anything. You are just doing something so that you can be a little bit peaceful and happy. That's it. Giants have gone. With this kind of an attitude, you don't have an ego of what you are doing, and you continue serving. There was this person who was very, very charitable, and he was doing good to everybody. So the angels came down and said, please, we need to give you some benefit, some blessing, because you are so good. You are continuously doing good. Doing good, not see, he's going with his friends, and suddenly one poor child comes, and all the friends are pushing that child away. So this person also says, get out, get out, get out of my way. And he gives 100 rupees in his hand. This is the way he does charity. He doesn't want anybody to know. When the angels come and say, you have to take some blessing from me, the person says, but I don't need anything. I am just happy doing what I'm doing. No, no, you have to give some. You have to take something, please. So he says, okay, when I am doing something good and it is helping somebody else, please see to it that I should not know. When I am doing something good and it is helping somebody else, please bless me that I should not know. And the angels were thinking about it. What kind of a blessing is this? And they gave him the blessing. Since then, wherever he was walking, wherever his shadow fell, all things became happy and cheerful. But he never came to know. He just went on walking. And that person was eventually called the Holy Shadow. Is it possible for us to live an iota of such life like the Holy Shadow? This is just one part of Karma Yoga. What kind of karma and how to choose what activity we do, we'll see in the next class. Thank you very much. Oh.